Romeo Acop. Romeo Acop was a figure whose life unfolded across several demanding arenas of public service, from law enforcement and the legal profession to national politics. Born on March 11, 1947, in the quiet town of Sudapen in La Union, Acop would go on to build a reputation as a disciplined police officer, a trained lawyer, and later, a long-serving legislator representing Antipolo's 2nd District. His career, marked by both achievement and controversy, reflected the complex realities of governance and public order in the Philippines over several decades. He passed away on December 20, 2025, at the age of 78, leaving behind a multifaceted legacy. Based on publicly available records and typical earnings from decades of senior government service, Acop's personal wealth was never formally disclosed in detail. However, informed estimates during his later years placed his net worth in $2 million. His assets were understood to be largely derived from lawful income, pensions, and investments accumulated over a lifetime of public employment rather than private business ventures. Acop's early years were shaped by a strong sense of discipline and public duty. Growing up in La Union, he was drawn to a structured path that emphasized service to the nation. This inclination led him to the Philippine Military Academy, one of the country's most prestigious institutions, where he was part of the Majoring class of 1970. Among his classmates was Hermogenes E. Ebdane Jr., who would later become governor of Zambales, underscoring the prominence of Acop's cohort. The academy instilled in him a rigorous code of leadership, loyalty, and responsibility that would define his professional life. After completing his military education, Acop pursued further academic training in law. He enrolled at Jose Rizal University, where he distinguished himself not only through perseverance but also through academic excellence. Graduating cum laude in 1986, he earned his law degree at a time when balancing professional obligations with legal studies was no small feat. This legal foundation would later prove invaluable, particularly during his tenure in law enforcement leadership and his years in Congress, where legislative precision and constitutional understanding were essential. Acop's police career reached national prominence during his service in the Philippine National Police. In the mid-1990s, he was appointed chief of the Criminal Investigation Service, now known as the Criminal Investigation and Detection Group. Holding the rank of chief superintendent, equivalent to a brigadier general, he operated during the administration of President Fidel V. Ramos. This period was marked by intense efforts to professionalize the police force while confronting organized crime and systemic corruption. His time at the helm of the CIS, however, was not without difficulty. In 1995, Acop resigned from his post following the highly controversial Curatong Bailing incident, a case that triggered widespread public debate and scrutiny of police conduct. Although his resignation did not amount to a legal conviction, it placed him at the center of a national controversy that would follow him for years. Rather than ending his public role, the episode underscored the risks and pressures faced by senior law enforcement officials in a volatile environment. In January 2001, when then EP&P Director General Panfilo Lacson stepped down, Acop once again made headlines by resigning alongside 2 other prominent police officers. The move was widely interpreted as a principled stand during a turbulent political moment. The following year, developments related to the Dacer Corbido double murder case prompted the CIDG to review allegations involving Acop. While these episodes added layers of complexity to his public image, they also reinforced his standing as a figure deeply entwined with the most consequential law enforcement issues of his time. Acop's transition from policing to electoral politics marked a new chapter in his career. In the 2010 general elections, he sought a seat in the House of Representatives as an independent candidate representing Antipolo's 2nd District. The race was competitive, featuring several well-known contenders, including former Rizal Vice Governor Gestoni Alarcon. Acop emerged victorious with just over 32,000 votes, securing a plurality and demonstrating his appeal to a diverse electorate despite entering politics without the backing of a major party. His success in 2010 laid the groundwork for a more decisive mandate in subsequent elections. By 2013, now aligned with the Liberal Party, Acop ran again and won by a wide margin. He received more than 60% of the vote, significantly outperforming his closest rival. This landslide reflected both his growing political organization and his ability to leverage his law enforcement background as a platform for public safety and governance. The 2016 elections further cemented his political standing. Running unopposed, Acop secured his third and final consecutive constitutional term with an overwhelming vote count. The absence of challengers was widely seen as an indication of his entrenched influence and the satisfaction of his constituents with his performance. During this period, he focused on legislative work, committee leadership, and constituency services. Term limits prevented Acop from seeking re-election in 2019, but his political presence in Antipolo did not diminish. His wife, Resurrección Acop, ran in his place and won unopposed, continuing the family's representation of the district. This transition highlighted both the continuity of his political network and the trust placed in his household by voters. In 2022, Acop returned to Congress after the required hiatus, once again running unopposed and reclaiming his seat as representative. His re-election underscored the durability of his political career and his sustained relevance in local and national politics. He served in this capacity until his death in 2025, marking more than a decade of legislative service spread across multiple terms. As a lawmaker, Acop was known for his active committee involvement and strong focus on public order and safety. He chaired the House Committee on Public Order and Safety and held memberships in numerous other committees, including appropriations, health, education, local government, transportation, veterans affairs, and matters concerning the West Philippine Sea. This broad committee portfolio reflected his wide-ranging interests and expertise, particularly in security, infrastructure, and social services. Throughout his time in Congress, Acop authored and co-authored dozens of bills, addressing issues from policing reforms to public welfare. One of his notable actions was filing a resolution calling for an inquiry into the planned procurement of nearly 60,000 9mm pistols for the Philippine National Police, a deal valued at approximately 1.2 billion Cuban pesos. The move aligned with his long-standing advocacy for transparency and accountability in law enforcement spending. His work ethic was further demonstrated by his attendance record. During the 16th Congress, Acop was among a small group of representatives who achieved perfect attendance, a distinction that underscored his commitment to legislative responsibilities. Colleagues and observers often cited this consistency as evidence of his disciplined approach to public office. In his later years, Acop faced serious health challenges. In November 2025, he underwent a kidney transplant and was discharged after what was initially described as a successful recovery. Less than a month later, however, he suffered a fatal heart attack. He died on December 20, 2025, at the Assumption Specialty Hospital and Medical Center in Antipolo, the city he had represented for much of his political life. Romeo Acop's life story is one of service marked by complexity. He navigated the demanding worlds of policing, law, and politics at times of national tension and transformation. Admired by supporters for his discipline, legislative diligence, and advocacy for public safety, and scrutinized by critics for his association with controversial episodes in law enforcement history, he remained a consequential public figure until the end of his life. His death closed a long chapter in Philippine public service, but his impact continues to be felt in the institutions he served and the communities he represented. And with that, thanks for watching. Give us a like, share with friends, and please subscribe.